Who are you? Some American cowboy? No, Hans, just a cow in the ointment. Hey, gang. Hey, what's up? Kevin Goatee here. Brand new episode. This week, we've got Josh from Films in That Podcast calling in from merry old England. That's right. Josh hates his fellow countryman, Sasha Baron Cohen, as he chose Borat. Yes, Borat. The first one, not the second one. We know that one stinks. So before we get to it, guttingthesacredcow.com. Make sure you go over there, get yourself a hat, bag, merch, whatever you want to grab. It's Mother's Day around the corner, right? And of course, Gutting the Sacred Cow is now in the metaverse. So go on there, watch us there, guttingthesacredcow@gmail.com to advertise with us. And please support us with, of course, everyone's favorite sponsor, and that is Athletic Greens, athleticgreens.com/GTSC. And without any further waiting around, any further dicking around, let's go see if Josh can try and take down Borat.
It's not so much as me as it is Roenick. He's good. Kevin Israel, name that film.
Wow, you even gave me a character name. Roenick.
Or did I give you a character name?
Well, you gave me something that should keep me off, but
you've seen this movie. You've seen this movie countless times.
Say it again. Say that quote again.
It's not so much as me as it is Roenick. He's good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Our guest today is Josh Hallam from across the pond. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I did.
Excellent. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Josh, welcome to the show. Do you know what film that quote is from?
So it sounds, no, I don't know it off the top of my head. Let's see if I can guess. So it sounds fantasy but it's not a more well-known fantasy. So it's not like Star Wars or The Rings. Is it something obscure like, what's the one with Warwick Davis in it? What's it called? Willow. Is it something like that?
It sure as shit isn't Willow because I turned it off when I was 10 years old. I thought it was terrible.
I like his analysis. I like him really going in. I'm just like, I don't know it.
It's very like cold case profiler-esque. I like the cut of jib. The both of you could not be more wrong. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a bonus. It's not so much of he says Roenick, he's good. This one's for superfan number 99. Make his head bleed.
Is that that's not Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, is it?
No, it is not. The answer
I know where you're coming from though.
The answer is Swingers, where they're playing hockey.
I haven't seen Swingers in so long.
Really? Oh, that was always.
I bet I haven't seen Swingers in over a decade.
Here's one for superfan number 99 over here. God, I love that film. Kevin Goatee, Kevin Israel, we are back. And boy, we are excited to have, like I had mentioned before, Josh Hallam from England. Josh, what are you up to? Where are you? What are you up to? Like, what do you want to tell everybody where we can find you and what your podcast is? And all that good stuff.
So I'm part of a podcast called Just Films and That. We talk about underrated and underseen films. Sometimes we talk about films that are classics to see if they hold up or if they deserve to be a classic. We have guest ones as well. We have a list of suggestions, all things films. We're sort of revisiting things, seeing did it deserve what it got at the time? Is it or does it deserve to have a bit more of a light shone onto it? So we try and be optimistic about stuff, which is it's going to be good for me to come on this because it's therapeutic, because I'm always trying to find the good in films, whereas now I can't fucking wait to just go in on something.
So what's your most underrated film?
So we've just done our 100th episode, which will be out next
Congrats.
week. So I'm not sure. Thank you. And we did one, and it got 0. So mathematically, I said, well, it has to be that because it got, and it wasn't even, when they've got no reviews, where they've got not enough to make a percentage on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. It wasn't even that. It was 0. It's actually voted as 0.
Revenge of the Nerds 2.
No, it was a film which I don't even know if it would have made it to you guys, called Kevin and Perry Go Large.
Sorry, we don't watch gay porn on this podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, and so that's why it did. It's like by a British comedian called Harry Enfield, and it's a character he did in a sketch show. So very British. Don't think it would have translated that well in the American market. So that got 0%, and we sort of said there are issues with it. Like it's aged really badly, like a lot of films from about 20 years ago, sort of around the American Pie times and stuff like that. But
don't you dare besmirch American Pie, because you will have
I'm not
2 angry Yanks on your ass.
Fuck me, beautiful.
I'm not. It's not American Pie that's the problem. It's the fact that was successful and Hollywood went, why don't we do that over and over again until people stop going? And then it just,
did.
so we did a film.
And then they started putting on DVD directly.
Yeah. So have you ever seen, there's a film that we did called 40 Days and 40 Nights. With John Hart
Drew
in it.
Barrymore. Yeah, never bother with that.
It's aged really badly. Like everyone in it is sex crazed to the point where at the end of the film, spoilers if I'm not saying a 20-year-old film is, he gets raped and it's it's like they make a joke
Oh right,
out of it.
yeah. I remember
And
that
it's
being
like,
an issue.
You're watching going, fucking hell.
Well, Josh has come on not to talk about British films that will never make it in America. He's talking about a British character who made it huge in America, and that is 2006 Borat, a budget of $16 million, a gross of $262.6 million, 2022 money, excuse me, a $22.5 million budget, $368.7 million gross. Kevin Israel, how do you respond to that?
That's decent.
Master wordsmith, you continue to be. IMDb, as we all know, is a scale 1 through 10 with decimal points involved. Hey, Josh, what do you think that Borat scored on the IMDb?
Well, I've got it in front of me.
Well, then don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer. Kevin Israel, what do you think that Borat scored on the IMDb?
I feel like now I'm the only one not invited to the party. 8-1.
7-4.
All right. I'll take it.
Rotten Tomatoes. Let's go to Josh the Cheater. Josh, what did the critics give Rotten Tomatoes 1 through 100?
Again, I've got it in front of me.
Kevin Israel, what did the critics give Rotten Tomatoes? Critic score.
88.
90. Very close.
All right.
Close.
How about the audience score, Kevin Israel?
93.
79.
Oh, really? Wow. The critics like this more than the audience.
I'm
shocking.
floored. Now, some films have very little quotes, as in the last one we did, which was the, oh my God, what was last week's episode? Oh, Return of the Jedi. Not many quotes. This film is an entire page of quotes. I would feel remiss if I did not. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of them. And I'm sure you guys have 14 more that you want to add. Virkin is the town rapist. Naughty, naughty. Heading to Capital City on weekends and watch women make a toilet. That always gets me. No hand relief. How is my back, pussy? Listen, pussycat, smile a bit to the feminist. Always a crowd pleaser.
That was great.
Can we follow her back and make sexy time? No, you can't. It's not good for me. We're with the driving instructor. I mean, this one is an all.
That driving instructor was like the best sport in the world.
Oh, he was. And the comedy coach. And this one is probably on the Hall of Fame of the top 100 quotes of all time. Her vagine hangs like wizard's sleeve.
Oh my God. Well, that was a saying before this movie, though, wasn't it?
I do not remember that. I could be wrong. But
I need to look that up because I don't think he invented that saying.
In the UK, that is a saying.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Do not fear me, gypsy. I'm here for your tears. You'll give them to me, or I'll take them from you. Is this understood? What is up, vanilla face? We're just a couple of pimps, no hoes. This is my favorite son, Huey Lewis. He grew 3 centimeters next to the guy with the dick hanging out. In my country, they would go crazy for those two. Her, not so much. Why you call police as the retard escapes? I have iPod mini. I have iPod. He has iPod mini. Everybody knows iPod mini is for girls. Kevin, what quotes do you have that jumped out?
I just pulled one that we actually used to say and that I still say once in a while. King of the castle, king of the castle.
Yeah. That's my sister's favorite one. Josh, how about you?
Well, quotes from the film.
Quotes from the fucking British Pledge of Allegiance.
There isn't one. We're very disloyal.
Expect that about you.
The only ones I can remember are all the ones that I don't know if you guys had this on your side of the pond, but like things like "It's Nice" and all that. They were turned into ringtones. I don't know if in the UK you used to be able to buy ringtones, and people's phone would go off, and it'd be like Yoda laughing, or it'd be Borat saying "It's nice." And then for a couple of years, it was massive. And then the iPhone came in and it stopped, and everyone went to the normal ringtones. But I just remember being on buses and trains and phones going, "It's nice." And it's like,
oh, it's the worst.
Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't play more when people text me. This is what happens. Wait, it's on vibrate. Sorry.
See, that's cool though.
That Transformers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. It's different than a quote, though, isn't it? It's like,
but I feel like I'd
rather have that than my phone going, "Yeah, baby," when I go, like, it's just.
I remember. Because like the whole like not thing, like that was that was when I was in high school. That was an actual thing.
Yeah.
And then this movie came out trying to make fun of it, but then people were imitating Borat, so not became a thing again. And it was like, we have to live through this again. And it's
the 80s. All right. So now on to 5 fun facts. I don't think this is in front of you. And if it is, Josh, I'll be fucking amazed that you're an amazing researcher and almost as good as I am on my own show. Here you are. How many times do you boys think that the police got called on Borat during filming?
So I think I did read it whilst I was reading
motherfucker.
Yeah, is it?
I like him.
Someone to guess?
Please go ahead.
It's like, is it in the 90s? It's like 91, 92, something like that.
Kevin Israel.
I mean, now I was gonna say something like 50, but
you could still say 50 and you might be right.
It's 55, but now I know it's wrong.
But now you are wrong. It is 92. 92 times.
That's insanity.
That's brave, to be fair to him.
I've never had a guest come as prepared to I am in our own 5 fun facts or IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes. Usually IMDb. Some people go, I get you. Motherfucker, I've got more pages than you.
It's not a size contest. Not
yeah,
size.
3 centimeters, guys. 3 centimeters.
It's my favorite son, Huey Lewis. The suit that Sasha Baron Cohen wore while playing Borat was never cleaned, not once, and it sure shows.
I 100% believe that.
Yeah.
Sasha Baron Cohen angered the crowd at Virginia's Salem Civic Center so much they nearly rioted. He would have been shot if he'd stayed a minute longer. After the rodeo incident, director Todd Phillips quit. As in the guy who did Hangover, Joker, Road Trip. Seth Rogen and Patton Oswalt were uncredited writers on the film.
Huh. Yeah, they used to write for the Ali G show as well.
I knew Seth Rogen. I did not know Patton Oswalt was a ghostwriter. Number 5, this one cracked me up. The Mississippi news producer who accidentally booked Borat was fired.
Oh, that sucks.
That's harsh.
Hey, can I know this is unusual? Can I add something?
Of course you can.
There's a great, and I'm not going to go through them all, but there's a great Salon article that they did in like 2008 or 2009 that goes through all of the scenarios and tells you which were real and which were staged and everything. And if you're listening to this and you want to check, because I every time I see this movie, I'm like, wonder which ones of these are real. But the one that sticks out most is obviously Pam Anderson was in on the joke.
Yeah,
he would have been in jail for that.
Well, there are 4 people. This was another bonus one, but since we're in the giving mood and it's not Christmas, we'll do it. There are 4 actors who were in on the entire way that it was, in fact, a joke. Sasha Baron Cohen, obviously the producer, Pam Anderson, and the 4th one, Huey Lewis, the guy's a gay porn star with his dick hanging out. That dude was in on that.
The prostitute also was.
Lunel, 5. That's right, 5. Yeah, Lunel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's been around forever, Lunel.
Yeah.
And that being that, let's go. And I apologize, folks, because I forgot to do this. I should have done it yesterday because we're taping on Saturday, which is not our usual day. So we're going to have a very limited Ask a Gutter. The only one we have right now is Matt Dawson, who writes, we just did an episode on Borat on Club Dial, so it's fresh in my mind. So what would you do if you were one of the security guards deployed to break up the naked hotel fight? My answer is jump tag right in and go ollie ollie oxen free with a semi hard on.
Yeah, grab the baby oil.
I would start looking for a new job.
I would just sit there with my phone out and go, would you look at that?
Goatee would go, well, this is just another Saturday.
Yeah. Why am I too messing? Josh, how about you? Anything jump out? Any good answer to that, or just
what would I do? Well, I guess I hope you could break it up quickly. Go for the feet, maybe. Try to get the feet.
That's the worst part.
Who are you, Quentin Tarantino? You pervert.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Try and get their feet from under them. I guess. I don't know. Try and not touch the naughty areas.
I feel like they were all naughty areas.
But yeah. Oh, that's excruciating, that scene, isn't it?
Oh, fair enough. Well, if we get more Ask a Gutters, we'll throw them in there as we go along. Well, first, Kevin, we got to talk about our sponsor, of course, Athletic Greens. You know it. You love it. Jess had one today with a bagel, bacon, egg, and cheese on an egg bagel. Had that to wash it down.
That's how they intended it.
One thing is healthy. The other one was not. It's less than $3 a day. Ironically, less than my bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel sandwich, mind you. Lifestyle friendly, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, keto, less than 1 gram of sugar. Kevin, did you have your daily glass of Athletic Greens today?
Of course I did. It's a day with a Y in it. I kick off it every morning with a cold glass of Athletic Greens, and it's a great way. It substitutes for my cup of coffee. It gives me focus, gets me ready for the day, and I don't get the jitters like I do from coffee. So it gets you all those vitamins and minerals without the shakes that coffee gives you.
And the shakes of having an awful drink to choke down the taste.
Yes,
pretty
absolutely.
Damn good. Pretty damn good. 7,000 5-star reviews recommended by professional athletes. And the founder created this when he tried to create a similar supplement routine. It cost him $100 a day. This costs you less than $3. And guess what? When you go to athleticgreens.com/GTSC, you're going to get, because we're so damn special and VIP, 1 year supply free vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do, fine friends, is go to athleticgreens.com/GTSC. Back to it. Now, it's time for Josh to try and, boy, Josh, I'd say we've had a lot of high mountains to climb for our guests from the films that they have chosen. I don't think it's as high as Back to the Future or Return of the Jedi, but shit, this is this is going to be a tough one. It is now time.
Back to the Future.
Someone tried to do Back to the Future.
What a heartless monster.
You know,
David, the producer, I hope you're listening.
There were a lot of adjectives used. Heartless monster did not make the cut, but don't worry. We had some on that frequency level of hatred come through. Josh, it is now your turn to gut the sacred cow.
Okay, so my first point, I suppose, about Borat is that I just don't find it that funny. One of the main issues I had with it is that I couldn't see some of the jokes. Having said that, I was like 14 when it came out, so I guess maybe I might have been a little young. Maybe I couldn't see the subtlety to it. The main issue I had is the reaction. Every now and then, a film comes out and it gets taken over by the masses, and before you know it, everyone is quoting it and everyone is talking about it, to the point where the jokes, it stops being funny. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it stops being funny. So I think it's intended to be a subtle sort of satire and a comedy poking fun at the more sort of bombastic parts of subculture and that sort of thing. But it became just people going, "Is nice." And then, like I said, buying mankinis. The joke about the mankini was like, look how stupid he looks. And then that people would actually consider doing this. And then people reacted by buying it, and it was like, what a stupid reaction. It's supposed to be stupid, not make you want to go and do it. I didn't get it. I also struggle with some of the humor in it. I think it's lowest common denominator in some ways. Like, so it's almost can't make up its mind. Is it shock humor? Is it embarrassment humor? Is it satire? And it can't pick one. And I know that some comedies pick more than one and end up doing it all sort of quite well. But for me, I think it misses the mark a little bit. I do have an issue with shock humor as well. I think it's a bit easy in some ways. I think it's low hanging fruit. I think to make things like jokes about things like AIDS or incest, like the films does, I'm not like a prude. I'm not got a problem with it. It doesn't shock me or offend me or anything like that. I just feel like it's lazy. I feel like it's easy. I feel like anyone could do it, and it's a little bit easy in that sense. It then hides behind being a satire, so to speak, to apply sort of shock tactics, like the bit where he goes to the Feminist Alliance, for example. I understand that you are still giving them a platform, but I think a good satire doesn't punch down. It has to punch up. And it does in some senses. And I don't mind things where if people are putting themselves in a position to be mocked, like, for example, the sort of the rally or whatever it is he goes to with the guns and stuff, or if you want to poke fun at celebrities and stuff like that, I don't mind that. But I do think those women in that alliance are sort of trying to fight a good fight. And I feel like he's trying to do their legs a little bit, like he's trying to undermine them a little bit. And it comes a little bit, and this is sort of a problem. I don't know if you guys have this in the States, but it comes a little bit from a smugness. I have a bit of an issue with Sasha Baron Cohen in that I find him a little bit smug. When I was prepping for this, I was watching interviews with him, and he was sort of reveling in the times when he'd done stuff that's offensive enough to get him in trouble, but also, like you say, someone getting fired because they booked him and he duped that person. He affected that person's livelihood, and I have a bit of an issue with that. Again, I'm sounding like I'm not doing the UK any favors. I'm sounding like a right sort of step up of lip snob, aren't I? But it's just what I think.
Hey, Harry Styles, get a sense of humor about you, huh?
Sorry. So Prince William's a personal friend of everybody in the UK. But no, anyway.
I hope so. You're paying him 60% of your taxes.
There's an issue in the UK with British elitism. What I mean by that is Sasha Baron Cohen is from a wealthy family. He went to Cambridge. I think he went to private schools. He's always had money. So I feel like to do this sort of comedy when you come from wealth is punching down. Like I don't necessarily agree with it, but then that is an issue with British comedy on the whole. There is not really, at this day and age, there's not loads of working class British voices. I think you do get that in the States in some senses, but I don't think you get it in the UK. A lot of British comedians and writers that you see have all been to the same universities. There's like 2 universities they've all been to, and essentially that gives them the upper hand on other people, and then they go in at that level. And we have a
very big mixture of different educational levels and styles here in America for the comedy writers. I mean, to be fair though, kind of, keying on your point, all the Simpsons writers went to fucking Harvard.
Yeah,
but a lot of
SNL writers a lot of them are Harvard educated.
Yeah. And then you have the thing like in the States with like a lot of people go to Juilliard, don't they? And that's how, or the other one, is it Actor Studio? Those sorts of schools, those elite schools that take 50 people a year or whatever. And if you don't get into them, you've not really got a chance, or you get people who every now and then break through. And there are people in the UK. There's not no one, like for example, like Ricky Gervais, like he, I don't think went to Oxford or Cambridge. I think he did pretty well for himself, but there are a lot of them, and I just struggle with that elitism a little bit. And Sasha Baron Cohen is no different to that.
Well, then listen, chimney sweep, stop making a big stink about it and get back to your job.
Put that cucumber sandwich down, right? pour the tea away and go get a job. But another issue is when I was reading about the film, and I didn't know this, but apparently, and I haven't verified this, but I have read it, that they might have exploited people a little bit. So the village that is in Kazakhstan is a village in Romania, and I believe they tried to take the filmmakers to court and said he paid them like $1 a day. And I think I have a bit of an issue with a really rich guy from private education going to Romania and going, look how fucking poor they are. Look, what a shithole. It's awful, isn't it? Like, I just think, it's not their fault. Like, you're exploiting them a little bit. You're poking fun at them a little bit. And I have a bit of an issue with that.
But yeah, so he didn't bring that guy home on arm?
Yeah, he did. He brought the fist, the rubber fist in his asshole.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think he was exploiting them. I thought you were going to go down the path of, well, they went down to the South and showed us dumb fucking hillbillies, what time it was. That I thought was going to be your argument. I don't think they made them all look out to be because they didn't have speaking parts. They didn't have a chance to hang themselves. So I thought it was just like, they were just all a bunch of background actors or whatever. And it wasn't a big thing, but all right.
I know what you mean. No, I can completely see what you mean. I guess it's not them that exploiting. It's more poking fun of their way of life, or using their way of life as a reference point for a country that he is saying is, a poor country. I don't really know. I'm not an expert on Kazakhstan. It's the one country I'm not an expert on. That's
The one. By the way,
seriously.
after this film came out, they said like tourism shot up like 300 or 400% in Kazakhstan. So this film,
for it to jump up 300 or 400%, that means 6 people went.
I'm looking for the uranium plant, please. Here we are.
I hear you have the best potassium.
Yeah. I hear you have a deal on iPod minis.
Well, you'd be disappointed, though, wouldn't you? Because this was filmed in Romania. It wasn't filmed in Kazakhstan. So you'd be going, where's the village? I paid $4 for my flights. Or whatever.
Can you imagine you're like one of those assholes who go to fucking New Zealand to see the Shire, Lord of the Rings, but you're a super fan of Borat, and you're like, let's go to Kazakhstan. You actually take time off of work and have to do 3 connecting flights to get there, and then you're Swagglefoost. I think you're the dumbass if that's the person you end up being.
Yeah. So I suppose he exploited dumb people and made them want to go to Kazakhstan. So that's another point. Fuck him. No. I also, again, another thing I have an issue with, and this is very of the time. I struggle a little bit with bothering normal people to make comedy. I know that, again, I'm sounded like a right prude, like a real, just comedy should just be intelligent writing and that's it and nothing else. I'm not saying that. I just think, you know, when they're just going about their business and they're like, if they're working in the service industry or like the driving instructor, like you said, that driving instructor was a great sport, but like that's, I don't know, I have a bit of an issue with poking fun at people who are just trying to get on. I don't mind people who are putting themselves in putting a target on their backs, like the people at the guy who's really misogynistic or the guy who's really racist with the guns and stuff like that. I don't mind that. I don't even mind, like in Bruno when Harrison Ford tells him to fuck off. Like I find that funny because they're celebrities that sort of comes with the job and comes with the money and all that sort of thing. But when
you must have really loved Candid Camera then.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess it's of the time.
Same thing.
It? You don't. Yeah, no, it is. It is absolutely the same thing. You don't really get. I guess it's back to the punching down point, isn't it? Like, I don't mind something like, you remember Punked?
Of course.
And that was like, it's famous people and it's a prank or whatever. But then I guess when it's normal people, I don't know. I suppose it's the context. It's the context, isn't it, where he's bothered. I suppose there are issues. When he's just trying to speak to the guys in the street, I don't necessarily mind that. But when he's going up to like just a woman and as if she's a sex worker and be like, how much? It's a bit, I find that a little bit demeaning. I think that goes over the line a little bit.
What? Wait till I shit on your point. Don't you think those people all signed releases and got money for this?
Yeah, but I still think that's.
But they could have said, "Fuck you! I'm not signing in this. And it's not gonna be in your film." So they're okay with it to a point. Then.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's like
lawyer.
If I was one of those 3 students, the guys, the frat boys. It makes them look like insane. Like, so fair play for signing the release form and like
it's in here
and say like and like I guess they're all good sports, aren't they? But I suppose there are some issues.
Sports. Those 3 assholes. The only thing they can do for the rest of their lives is manage a bowling alley at nighttime.
They are actually that was the scene when I was like, I need to look this up and see if this was real, because I was like, this one, they're definitely in on the joke. And they were not.
No.
I'm shocked that they agreed where their parents agreed for them to sign.
Well, they sued and the suit got thrown out.
Yeah, there were a number of suits that got thrown out related to this, but still, Jesus.
I have, I suppose the other thing as well is when you're bothering people in the street, like when someone's in heavy makeup and they're going up to normal people who don't know they're in a film or whatever. And then it's like, you didn't know they were making a film, you idiot. You've been duped by this person. And a bit like, it reminds me of people, of course you've been duped. He's a very good actor and he's in really good makeup and he's carrying himself really well. Of course you would think it was real. Like I used to live with a guy and he was really good at, when the people like try and convince you of something, it's a bit like the not joke, and then it's really easy to convince them. So like I remember saying once to him, "Have you had your hair cut?" He said, "Yeah," and I said, "Oh, have you dyed it? Have you dyed your hair?" Because he had really blonde hair, and he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh right, no, you fucking idiot, I haven't." It was like, but you've just convinced me of a really easy to convince someone thing. Like if you
that show just got greenlit at Netflix, but mine won't.
But yeah,
what that point goes to. Whenever we've talked about this on the podcast before. Whenever there's a twist at the end of a movie, but they did nothing to offer the audience a bit of insight into that twist? Is it really a twist if you weren't able to somehow predict it?
It's a payoff they don't deserve, isn't it?
Right.
It's that sort of thing. It's like if I went to you, oh, my dad's an accountant, and you went, is he? And I went, no, you fucking idiots. Like, you don't know my dad, but it's like quite believable. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm going, my dad's got 4 heads. Like, and if you went, oh, is he? And I went, no, you idiot. Like,
how can he fit those 4 heads down a chimney when he's sweeping with you? It's a family business, right?
He can't. He does the bit at the bottom, and I go to the top.
He shouts out encouragement to you.
He makes the tea and keeps Mary Poppins entertained.
How many more stereotypes can we shoehorn in the podcast?
Oh, so many.
We know 6 things about the British.
Yeah.
Go on, what are they? Go on.
Yeah. 0-2 in wars against America. Yeah.
And you drive on the wrong side of the street.
Yeah,
you freaks.
We've all got bad teeth, and London is the only place anybody lives.
Yeah. The teeth part's true though.
Yeah. Hey, I had braces for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I still got bad teeth.
You do look like you have good teeth, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. I spent some time in America. I didn't really.
Attaboy. Oh, look what you did. You're trying to dupe us now. Punch him down, you piece of shit.
So the other issue is, again, I have a bit of an issue with Sasha Baron Cohen. I do think he's a bit smug about stuff. I don't know him as a guy, despite the fact he's British. We've not met. We didn't go to the same school, so I'm not allowed to speak to him. So again, I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about the things he's done, in his characters and stuff. And he was quite smug about the fact that he really upset Kazakhstan. But I do think, and I'm not really invested in the reputation of the country Kazakhstan or anything like that, but he probably did. Again, I get the tourism point, but the other side of it is I've been in there when you're from a place and people only know certain things about the place, and it really does your head in. It really irritates you when all they can quote is, oh yeah, like that one thing. And I think that probably happened to Kazakhstan. Like, I imagine people have gone, it's nice, there's only Kazakhstani people. That you just think, oh, fucking hell, there's so much more to the country than that. Like, I'm from a town that is the butt of a joke by a comedian. So if ever I tell anyone where I'm from, they go, oh, and they quote the joke, and it's like, yeah, it's like, it just kills the conversation.
You mean like kind of like Kevin, how we hear, oh, you're from Jersey? Oh, Joyzy? What exit? No one ever says that. That's on a t-shirt. That's on a t-shirt.
Or all they can say is Sopranos.
Yeah.
Or Bruce Springsteen. But no, the
Bon Jovi.
Yeah, or the Joyzy thing. No one has ever said that in their lives who live in this state. It's hilarious. Anyway, what else you got there, sir?
It's a bit repetitive. I think like it's one joke, that fish out of water, and I'm stumbling around irritating people. It's one joke, and I get it's a short film. It's not a long film, so it's not. I don't find it like it weighs too heavy or anything like that. But it is repetitive.
Okay.
So I do find it a little bit like that whole fish out of water, and I'm wandering around irritating people. It's one joke, and it kind of goes and goes. So maybe I'd like to have seen him done a bit more with it. And I guess ultimately, it's probably not age that senses. And my last point is, it's not. My last point is, I suppose, two points. I don't think it's aged that well. So, like some of the films and things, like a little bit like I say, American Pie, not American Pie specifically, although there is that bit where they all watch a teenage girl, and it's a bit weird.
They're teenagers. What do you fucking want? Wouldn't you watch a teenage girl if you were a teenager too? Sure, good. And Shannon Elizabeth was 24 when she made that film. So nice try, sailor.
And we didn't have webcams then as a teenager, and we didn't have the internet speed either. So we just had porn that blew in from the woods and magazines and stuff. Like,
didn't we all?
Wilderness porn is the best.
Yeah, it was like Stand By Me. You just found it, and then you gathered around in a treehouse and looked at it. And then the other thing is, I guess there are elements where he goes to, bits of American subculture, which like are things like obsessed with guns or hate Muslims and all that sort of thing. And he does satirize them, and I think it's good to poke fun at anyone who has prejudices. But also, if you're satirizing them, are you also giving them a bit of a platform as well? It's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Are you also not giving them a little bit of voice? But that's all I've got. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Ultimately, I just don't find it that funny, and I found the legacy of the film a little bit irritating. But whatever. I just, it's subjective, isn't it? Comedy. So if it doesn't make you laugh. Like another film that I almost picked, which I know you've done before, was like Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh boy, I fucking hate that film.
And it's my partner's favorite film. Right?
Well, your partner is stupid.
I'll let her know. She's downstairs. She'll get the first flight over. So I don't find it funny, and I cannot see the joke.
No.
But
Because there are none.
No, there are no. Exactly right. There are no jokes.
But it does have a cult following, so some people like it, and it's all subjective, isn't it? At the end of the day, and for me, it's just not my taste. It's not my sense of humor. But that's what I got. So feel free to completely smash it to bits now.
No, give me a number 1 to 10, Josh. What you thought of this film? 1 to 10.
Like out of 10. It's probably middle in 5.
5. Okay.
Yeah,
don't hate it. Kind of take it or leave it.
I don't. Yeah, I can understand. I can understand. Like, it's a good performance from Sasha Baron Cohen, and there are some elements. And I did laugh a couple of times. Some of the quotes she did at the beginning. It is good, but it's just, I don't think it's as good as people say it is. But then I actually don't think I don't think some films, they come out and they go straight into critics lists and stuff, and then they seem to just disappear. And I don't think this disappear, but I don't think people are talking about it as much as they used to. So maybe it's not like Spinal Tap. I don't think it's that level of, its legacy is not that high.
Spinal Tap is insanely overrated. Next.
Ooh,
no. It's overrated.
I've never seen it.
Don't rush.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's one joke. Oh, let's turn up to an 11. Oh. Great. It's a mockumentary. Okay, cute.
I thought I was listening to some of my friends then. That's such a good English accent.
He does a great British.
These notes brought to you by guttingthesacredcow.com. Every day you can listen, find out where we're up to. Our patreon.com/GTSC, where for $5 a month, you get to hear Kevin and I do our video reviews, movie reviews. That doesn't happen, which there's a lot of in this film, a lot of it. And of course, trailer talk, good stuff like that. If you want to advertise with us, guttingthesacredcow@gmail.com. Notes. He paid $117 for a hotel room a block away from Carnegie Hall in 2006. That is a fucking steal, because now in 2022, he would need 4 heroin addicts that they could boot up in the hotel room together and split that hotel room. That is a cheap price. When he got unpacked in the elevator, that is hilariously understated. I cracked up. It's so funny how people were making exaggerated faces as he jerked off in front of Victoria's Secrets and then shits in front of a Trump Tower sign. But homeless people do it every day in the city, because I work there, and no one gives them the stink eye in real life. Hypocrisy. Watching him toy with those feminists was a work of art. Seeing Borat go to a comedy coach made me wonder, hey, Kevin, how many people do you think he had to bring to his graduation class show? Joke for our fellow comics out there. He pulls a fifth of vodka out while driving with the driving instructor. Hilarious. Why does this film work? The jokes are fast, furious, sometimes obvious, sometimes not so obvious. I love the weaving in and out of the joke. You're right. Some are punching up, some are punching down, some are common denominator, some are least common denominator. I love how he weaved in and out effortlessly. The fish out of water story's been done a million times. Most of it shitty. Not this one. There's something oddly lovable about him, despite being a fucking creep. The guy who told Borat at the rodeo to shave that, quote, dadgum mustache, we don't trust people like that, do we? To shave that mustache is lecturing him about gays, but that cowboy is wearing a goddamn kerchief. Sounds to me like someone is hiding in plain sight. Borat looks like he smells like a pureed homeless person or has 3 different types of Axe body sprays on. That got Josh. When he hangs with those black guys, that's fucking comedy gold. Every time. Beep, beep, skeet, skeet. Great. It's refreshing that Sasha Baron Cohen can satirize his own culture. I wish other people could do that as well and not get butthurt. The real question is, and I have the DVD, the deleted scenes I want to see, how many people didn't fall for his shenanigans? That is what I want to see, where he's told to go fuck himself or get kicked in the dick. It's also hilarious to see him try and kiss dudes to see what guys kind of like, all right, and some guys who are not cool with that cause at all. I've done a lot of crazy things, boys, in my life. Some of them I told about this podcast, but I wish I had the balls to bring a turd in a bag to a dinner party. That, my friends, is a 15 on the I don't give a fuck scale.
Watching the realization of what that lady was looking at on her face as she realized what
Perfect.
it was amazing.
The transformation of like, oh, he's this nice, kind person, and he's a fucking creep. And then the hooker. The dinner scene is chock full of belly laughs. I don't want to live in a world where two men are running around a hotel naked, and that's not the funniest shit you've ever seen. You can sign the fuck to get right out of this fine country. Go live in Australia with the rest of the criminals, right, Josh?
No comment on that.
Sasha Baron Cohen with the extra long black box to shadow out his dong. If I ever do full frontal on a show and not in the homemade porno I have laying around, I'm demanding that same size be used for me in a show or a film, because he got some super respect with that black box. Borat's producer, he has a full, luscious D cup that most women would murder for. I want to know what the rate is, like the going rate, how much you would get paid to be in this, to be fucking, to be fooled by Borat's crew. Like if you were on one of these stunts, what's the going rate by that? Can you imagine those four fraternity guys having to explain themselves at every job interview until retirement? I hope they're prepared to be the night manager of Taco Bell or the person who's the jizz mopper at the old Times Square movie theaters.
Oh, by the way, Kev, the car salesman claims he got $150.
Did you at least buy the car from him?
No. And he said, I had nothing to do with that ice cream truck.
Oh, this pussy wagon. How to get it's fucking great.
Pussy magnet.
Pussy magnet.
Well, you installed the pussy magnet.
Yes. Oh, God. This movie does start to lose steam right after he leaves the fraternity camper. I did learn something about Pentecostals, though. They're full of $6 haircuts, $35 suits, and dumb dildos who speak in tongues and believe in that shit. The kidnapping of Pam Anderson was one big swing and a miss for me. I know it had to leave somewhere, or him following her, but that kidnapping thing, it didn't pay off. The last 15 to 20 minutes of this film lose a lot of steam. It really deflates after that scene. The first hour and 5 minutes are pure nitro gangbusters, straight gas, no fat. The jokes are top notch. The subtle jokes are great as well as the obvious one. This is the best comedy we have seen in the last 16 years. I implore any of you out there, name a better comedy that has been released since this film. There has not been. The buddy comedy is dead. The cop comedy, buddy cop comedy, is dead. And many of neighbors have tried and failed. Mike and Dave, whatever it is, dates their wedding, failed. There has not been a comedy that can sustain laughs throughout like this has since this film. I wanted this sequel, Borat 2, to be at least 1/10 as good. And unfortunately, it was not. That film was fucking terrible. Why? Because this film, he hit on both sides. And when I see signs of just leaning hard on one side and not going back and forth, you'll lose me. If you're going to play the satire role, you got to play it straight down the middle. Don't go fucking veer in one lane and stay there. And that's it. Okay. I'm not one who usually enjoys sketch character comedy films, but Ali G had two monster films that were both fantastic. This and Borat. His other films stunk. That Dictator was a piece of shit. I love how raw it is and how it shines a light on everyone. Again, everyone's fair play. We're comics, Kevin. You know that. Everyone takes shit. That's the way it works. They shine a light on everybody, and he takes a big steaming shit on them equally. A lot of satire films miss the mark. Not this one. Bullseye, baby. 8.5 out of 10, only because those last 15 minutes or so dragged. 8.5 out of 10. Love it. Kevin Israel, the floor is yours.
I could have given Goatee's entire speech just then because I've heard him give it before.
because I pined for that sequel for so long, and I get it, and I get viciously disappointed.
So for me, and we've talked about this a number of times on this podcast, comedies are always hard for me because comedy is incredibly subjective.
Right.
And other than the aforementioned Napoleon Dynamite, you could argue one way or another for most comedies that whether you think they're funny or not. And it's hard. And especially as a comic, as somebody who writes jokes and gets that, like, it might not hit for some people. It'll probably, as comics, we try to write, at least for my act, I try to write jokes that as many people as possible will appreciate, because that's how you get the most work. But I also get that there's a lot of comedy out there that's not for everybody, and that's okay. For me, I'm not, and Josh laid it out really well. I'm not an uncomfortable humor guy. That strikes right at like my like a nerve right near my heart, where I'm like I want to turn there were so many times in this movie where I wanted to like fast forward or turn, because I get so uncomfortable for people, especially the scene in the newsroom where you just knew like they were all in, like they had no idea. And it was just like, oh my God, these poor fucking people. And knowing that somebody lost their job over this, it's just like,
that sucks. That sucks.
But it's also at the same time brilliant that he was able to create a character and so invest himself in that character. He sent a fake CD to the people for that rodeo, and they were still like, a blank CD, sorry, not fake, a blank CD, and they were still like, yeah, you can sing the national anthem, sure. That's amazing that he was able to pull that off. So for me, it's really hard to judge comedy that is funny, because look, this was a funny movie. You can't take that away from anybody. But was it your kind of funny? That's just contingent upon you. For me, a lot of it was just so awkward that it was hard for me to watch. Now, that said, I saw this movie in the theater in 2006. I haven't seen it since. I never had any specific desire to see it again. I laughed my ass off in the theater. There were scenes where the theater was laughing so loud you missed whatever the punchline was. And it was the hotel naked wrestling scene. I almost threw up. I was laughing so hard when he put his ass in his face and he was saying, "Eat my ass." Yeah, I was like painfully laughing. There is without, and also some of the subtle jokes in this are really, really good. When and I don't know why this one struck me, but at one point he throws down his bag and you hear the chicken go, and yes, it's like, oh my God. Yes. Like that was just so they accounted for that fucking chicken. Cause like the chicken's like a joke in the beginning, but then they just kind of let it go. Like, all right, it's not a joke anymore. But then the fact that they pull it back quarters through the movie was just and I guarantee you most people didn't even pick up why that was such a brilliant joke and pulled off so well. But again, the planning of this movie is amazing. The fact that, and you know what, Kev, I bet there weren't that many situations where it didn't work, because they apparently did so much planning ahead of time and scouting and making sure that people it was going to work out that I mean the movie was put together brilliantly. Sasha Baron Cohen, without a doubt, brilliant. And you're right, Kev. Some like the second movie was not as obviously as good as this.
Terrible.
But the thing is he commits all the way. He's all the way in. And they say about like a good fighter, like, you know, a good fighter because they're willing to go. They attack. And that's how they fight. If you're going to pause or you're going to hesitate, and it's the same thing as comedy on stage. If you pause or you hesitate, the audience picks it up and you lose them. Sasha Baron Cohen never hesitates. He goes all in every single time, and it works or it doesn't work. He doesn't care because he's going all in. That's what's beautiful about this movie. But for me, where this movie dies off is that it's not really a movie. It's a bunch of skits thrown together. They try to make the story that he needs to go across the country to find Pam Anderson, but there's no real narrative through the movie. It's a bunch of very, very funny skits put together, which is great to watch. And without a doubt, they're all very fun. And each one, and I forgot I forgot the whole thing with the dinner. Like, that was amazing watching that dinner and just realizing that. And the fact that he gets people to be so honest, that rodeo scene where the guy was like, shave your mustache because you look like a Muslim. Yeah. And he just kept going. Like the guy dug his ditch and then he just kept digging. And it's like, wow, he gets people to be so frighteningly honest that it's amazing. But as a movie experience, as you know, going to see a movie to me is going to see a story that starts and has a middle and it completes itself. This doesn't have that. Did it need it? Clearly not. But for me, that's probably why I never wanted to see it again, because I saw it, I got the jokes, it was great. I never did need to see it again. And I watched it again and I laughed. I didn't laugh as hard because you knew all the jokes already. But it wasn't I wasn't like, oh, I want to walk that walk again. I want to go down that whole path with this guy again. So for me, some of the comedy hits great. Some of it's a little too cringy for me, but I'm not saying it's not funny. That's just me. But where the movie falls off for me is that it doesn't have a long, like a whole narrative, a full narrative. And could he have done that with this character with what he was trying to do? Probably not, because he needed to get all of these pieces in, and he needed to like really dig into the underbelly of all these different little subcultures. But could it have just been a series where, every 15-minute short series where, he put it out? Maybe, but it wouldn't have been as successful. So in the end, for me, I'll probably never watch this movie again. There's really no reason to for me. I got all the jokes, and I listened to people say nice and King of the Castle for so long that it gives me a headache just to think about. But again, it's hard to judge comedy, especially when it is funny, even if it's not necessarily funny to you. And that's something that I think a lot of people fall short when they go, well, I don't think it's funny, so it's not funny. Well, fuck you. You have a different opinion. But funny is very subjective. And so it's difficult for me to pull this movie apart without being aware of what comedy is and what Sasha Baron Cohen accomplished for this. So for me, this movie is a 7 because the scenes are hysterical. It's very funny, but it's not really a movie experience that I want. And I agree with Kevin. I haven't seen many movies that get these kind of laughs, especially not lately, but I've seen movies that get laughs that do have a story that you're able to follow. So that kind of maybe offsets some of the inability to make the comedy because you're also trying to tie together a narrative. So again, for me, it's a 7. It's fucking hysterical. It's definitely timeless, but it doesn't land 100% for me.
I hear you. And I get it. I think that the frequency of jokes that they have here are just, again, with comedies, I said before, I need a very bare bones plot for a comedy. Other stuff, I need the whole kit and caboodle. I need characters, that. We need the plot line. I want A, B, and C stories. This, I just need jokes. I want jokes. I just want to laugh, and this delivered in spades for me.
That's
humor wise. Let's hear a bunch of people who don't have a sense of humor. Critics 5-star reviews. Borat is funny, spleen-bursting funny, although you may catch yourself wondering, are these the kind of jokes that you should be laughing at? Mm-hmm. Did someone just fart, or did I hear that?
That was my stomach, and you heard that?
Yes.
Good mic. Good
Dang,
mic.
good ear. Yeah, good mic.
Can you isolate that noise and we can make it our ringtones?
That's hilarious. By the way, this does pass the remote test for me. Kevin, it does not sound like it passes the remote test for you.
No, you know what? I think if it was on TV, I probably would sit down and watch some of it because there are a lot of laughs. But you know what? In the sense of the full remote test, would I sit down? And again, to your point, would I need to see the ending? Would I need to see it all the way through? Probably not. No. But if it was on, it was in the first 2/3 of the movie, I'd be like, I need to see him sitting down with the feminists or what. I need to see that scene again.
Offensive, yes, but I haven't laughed this hard since the Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy. Signed, Cat Williams. Borat is the rare comedy that operates without a safety net. Cohen and director Larry Charles' film provides constant laughter and surprises while daring the viewer to be rightfully offended. Although I knew it was dishonest, cynical, and the ultimate in cheap shot humor, I laughed more at Borat than any other film this year, so I guess the joke is on me. The backlash proves just how deep a nerve that the faux Kazakh journalist has hit. Critics, 1-star reviews. In the tactics of Cohen, Charles, and their collaborators, there is a level of social insularity, sneering, and intellectual sadism that is positively disturbing. Mm-hmm. But everyone makes fun of hillbillies all the time, but now we're getting butthurt about that they were featured in a film for an hour and 20 minutes. Hypocritical. After a while, the gaggle of idiots, creeps, and stuffed shirts Borat comes in contact with becomes repetitive. Mm-hmm. A film that ignites the baser passions, satisfies the lowest common denominator, and makes sure it offends equally. That is the film's weakness and why it is a quick hit with no lasting value. Oh, really? I think the box office receipts in the sequel say otherwise, dummy.
Baser passions are 2 words I've never put together in a sentence.
Right. Is that ever going to get into the zeitgeist, Kevin?
Yeah, not mine.
Nor mine. It's the male-oriented humor in this movie that goes right in the toilet, literally, and never recovers.
The male-oriented humor.
Male-oriented humor.
The person they missed the whole point of the movie and the comedy. Then,
if you saw the picture of this reviewer, you would say that's exactly how I could see you writing this review. An old crusty white woman. Candid camera crossed with jackass. Candidly, Cohen can be a politically incorrect laugh riot, but he's often just lewd and crude. Comrade.
What a strange end to that.
Yeah. Right. Amazon 5-star reviews. Hilarious movie. I found it so funny that I bought copies for both my sisters who also loved it. Parentheses, we are grandmas too. I can be going about my day when I think of a random scene in the movie and I begin to giggle out loud. Borat is perfect as he acts innocently, and some of the funniest parts are the reactions of the people whom he encounters, such as the news station folks. One scene of the young college boys in the motorhome was offensive. However, it contained a perfect lesson in human relations. If a woman gives her body to a man, he won't call her back. Why? Because he doesn't respect her. No, he wants to have a different meal that day. Duh. Spoken honestly by a drunk college boy and as true as can be. I give this movie a high five. P.S. My husband can't understand why I laugh at this movie, and I can't understand why he doesn't. How about because he's dead? I laughed so hard so many times that my abs actually got a bit of a workout. Is this as unbelievable and that doesn't happen as people who fall out of seats in the theater laughing so hard, Kevin? Fuck you. If you have a good that or you have Parkinson's disease, I can't think of another possible explanation. If you have a good sense of humor and are not easily offended, you will love this movie. Very disappointed, though, that the second Borat movie was political garbage without art or jokes. It's hard to believe that such a high caliber actor went from top comedian to bottom feeder. Zing.
You know what's funny about the second movie? I don't remember, other than the Rudy Giuliani's bit, and that's mostly because it was in the news. I don't remember anything about that movie, other than the girl was good. She did a really good job.
Two hilarious parts where he's going back and forth, faxing the head.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Sup. And he faxes back, sup with you. And there's a whole exchange, like a text conversation, but over fax. I thought it was hilarious. And the debutante ball was funny too. And he lost.
When she yeah.
And he takes her to get a dress, and he's talking about watching her get undressed and all that. That was pretty funny. That last half, though, it really falls off hard. Next one. I love this movie when I saw it in the theaters, and I was trying to think of a movie to show my parents for movie night at my place. But this would be the perfect movie to show my 80-year-old parents. I had them over for dinner, lowered my 100-inch screen, also from Amazon, fired up the projector, and we watched Borat. My parents loved it and thought he was hysterical. LOL. Definitely not for the faint of heart in some scenes. My dad. They actually showed this in a theater. LOL. Did this asshole, here we go, Kevin, yet again, do these assholes always have the need to mention how large their TV is? You know what he forgot to add? Did he take a shit on his Toto toilet with 2-ply toilet paper to wipe his beehole to show how rich he is?
Oh, God.
I think that entire review that didn't happen.
Yeah. This brings so much. It's insanely ridiculous.
You've taken the time to write a review on Amazon to tell people how big your telly is.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Wait till we get those 1-star reviews. Hold on, 2 more here. This movie brings so much fun, and yes, it is very stupid, but it is a movie. So just take away the fun. Also an international student, the movie reminds me about my polite, lovely, and kind American friends too. I don't give a poop to politics or my country's government or those stupid news. I believe in what I've experienced in the United States. I'm thankful for my journey in the US, and I really don't know how to use my words to express my appreciation and gratefulness to my American friends, my classmates, my professors, friends from church. Just love them. I guess Amazon's the new pen pal here, folks. What the fuck? My 25-year-old son gives this 5 stars and keeps wanting to rewatch it. I didn't think it was that funny. Probably a generational gap thing. So, okay, you've been warned. 5 stars. And the best one of this review, all other countries have inferior potassium.
Well done.
Thank you. Amazon 1-star reviews. This is clearly a hit piece on Republicans from start to finish. Shame Sasha had to get political. Dude really used to be funny, but this is just a poorly acted anti-Republican film that's an attempt to make them look bad. Much funnier when you mess with everyone and not be so one-sided, Sasha. Who paid you to make this trash? Signed, James Carville. Who paid you to make this trash? The studios, you fucking moron.
That definitely wasn't one-sided.
This utterly...
It's not a hit piece on Republicans, is it? It's like...
No. $20 says he meant to write it for the second film and not this one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This utterly false and dishonest narrative on Kazakhstan culture and life is not only insulting to them, moreover, the film makes fun of innocent bystanders who are non-actors. I tossed it twice. What did you pull it out of the trash again and tomahawk it like Hakeem Olajuwon and NBA Jam? Tossed it twice? Signed the Uzbekistan diplomat. Uzbekistan, fuck you. That always cracks me up too. Every time I walk by the Uzbekistan building in the city, I go, Uzbekistan, fuck you. This should be banned. Very provocative and disgraceful movie about Kazakh nation, humanity, and women. This movie is not funny. This is produced under low grade and taste Jewish Armenian partnership. I'm pausing for effect. The most stupid movie I have ever seen. These guys are Romanians and they show them as Kazakhs. Aha, someone else did his homework here, or her homework.
It wasn't just Josh.
Clever girl. Kevin Israel, did Josh gut the sacred cow?
Josh, you made a lot of really good points, and I agreed with a lot of them. The problem is, like I said, I just have a real problem dissecting comedy. Especially comedy like this it's funny. It's, it might not be your kind of funny, but it's a lot of people's funny. So I think one of the only comedies we've done where I was like, this was gut, was Napoleon Dynamite. Everything else is really hard for me. And while I do agree with a lot of what you said, and for me, this isn't a 10 comedy, it's just too hard. So I don't think you got it, but I think you made a lot of great points.
I don't think you got it because you gave it a 5. If you gutted it, you'd say 2 or 3.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And you laughed. You laughed too, and that's fine. I agree with Kevin. But yeah, and again, it's not for you. I get it, and you make some pretty cogent points. I completely agree with those. No problem with that. Just this cow is still alive and kicking. Hey, it had Omicron and it survived because that cow's vaccinated, I guess. What can I tell you?
This cow is going home to make out with his sister, the best whore in the town.
Yeah. Number 3 prostitute in Kazakhstan. Josh, you were a treat. Thanks so much. Tell the fine folks what you're up to. Oh, absolutely. Tell the fine folks what you're up to again, where we can find you, all that good stuff.
So we release an episode every Tuesday talking about all your favorite underseen, underappreciated, underrated films. Feel free to get in touch. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Just Films and that. We're on TikTok as well because we're down with the kids. Every Tuesday, get in touch. We hopefully we'll do a film that you think is underrated. The whole idea is that everyone has a film that they think is underrated or underappreciated, and ultimately it doesn't matter if it's a really well-reviewed film. You can still say you think it's underrated. It's a little.
I got one right now. I'll come on your podcast and do. You ready?
Go on.
The Founder.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. It's a good film.
But that one thing didn't that win?
No, that is my problem. It got completely shut out for nominations. I saw it in the theater. The reviews were great. I'm like, all right, Michael Keaton can't go wrong. Looks like a good story. I walked out going, he's winning the whole thing. Actor, and this should win Best Picture. But of course, some bullshit one instead. The Founder is one of the best films that no one has seen in the last 5 years.
I got one.
Go ahead.
Draft Day.
What's it called?
Draft Day. Kevin Costner.
I love Draft Day.
It's one big bag of that doesn't fucking happen.
I know, but
I'm on the ride every time. I'm on the ride.
I will watch that. That for me is an ultimate remote test movie because if it's on, I just can't not. And it escalates so fast. See, it might not. The movie wouldn't make any sense to folks across the pond unless you happen to be into American football, because it's all about really the inner workings of how American and the NFL drafts players.
But Moneyball.
No, different than
No,
that.
no.
Moneyball is the science behind getting players on the team.
Oh,
But the
right.
NFL draft is like it's damn near a holiday now. It's probably one of the biggest events watched. That's an actual not event of sports. Everyone, I mean, the draft's a month away, and people have been forecasting the draft for months. Me included, as a Giants fan.
Yeah, it's Kevin Costner, so and I love Kevin Costner.
But Kevin,
You know it,
yeah,
baby.
exactly.
Us Kevins have to stick together. You know
Hey.
it is.
3 Kevins can't be wrong.
feels like Kevin. We have a similar thing to draft day. We call transfer deadline day, which is football or soccer to you guys, which is like the same. And it's just like a celebration of how much fucking money is pumped into the sport and who's going where and all that sort of stuff. So,
You get to see these kids go from being, broke college students to suddenly they're multimillionaires in 5 minutes.
And how fast something as dumb as get nailed for some dumb shit like weed drops you out of that top tier, and you become instead of a first round pick, you're a 4th round pick, and you're not getting guaranteed 25.
Right, but the number 1 quarterback in the draft isn't suddenly dropping down to whatever that guy dropped down to because they found out nobody went to his birthday party. That doesn't happen. Anyway, sorry.
In the film.
Yeah, it does happen in the film.
I've got.
He's not a team player.
Yeah. You know what? And I think you would be able to appreciate it just because the way it's laid, it's very accessible to understand. But it's a really fun movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a very fun and I think underrated movie.
And it's about if you've got affection for it, isn't it? If you've got affection for a film, then you will defend it. Like I always have a running argument with my co-host Alice, because she loves Grease 2. And she will, and
first of all, Grease 1 was an egregious piece of shit done in this very podcast, and I will never subject myself to Grease 2. That
Grease
I promise.
2 is, and I've seen it.
She loves
it's bad.
And ultimately that's her opinion. That's fine.
Sure, I get you. It's a wrong opinion, but it's an opinion.
Yeah. Your opinion's incorrect, but
Listen,
everyone's entitled to an incorrect opinion.
Napoleon Dynamite and Grease 2. Alice is not off to a good start in my book. That's for sure.
Alice isn't my partner. My partner's someone else.
Oh, okay.
Alice, Alice is my co-host of the podcast.
I see. I'm juxtaposing the two. I apologize.
No, it's all right. She's my partner in some sense, in like a podcast way.
All right.
But her husband would probably have something to say about the other stuff.
Well, maybe that's how you guys swinging over there in Merry Old England.
Yeah, that's it. Keys in a bowl. We all mash bad
Key
teeth.
party.
just mashing bad teeth together.
You're a good old time, Josh. We could have a beer together.
Thank you very much.
Throw some darts and talk about how boring soccer is. Thanks again for coming on our podcast. I had to throw the note.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it, folks. We'll see you next time. Take care. Later.